Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Steve, and today we're talking about the Omega Seamaster 300 meter Professional. Now, this isn't necessarily a review of the Seamaster since I already have reviewed it. I'm gonna go ahead and put a card right there, but this is more of a 3-year retrospective of the Seamaster and how I personally feel about the piece. Now, personally, I love the Seamaster, even down to that bracelet, but I know a lot of people do despise having a bracelet that does not taper, but luckily today's sponsor, Artem Straps, sent me in 4 of their sailcloth straps. I thought it would be a very good combo to mix a 300 meter diver and this sailcloth strap, so I reached out to Artem and they graciously sent over 4 straps. Now, there was no other compensation, just these straps, and they have no input on this review. They probably don't even know this video is coming out, but regardless, I just want to let you guys know. Now, before we get started, hit that like button and that subscribe button down below. It really does help the channel. All right, let's roll the intro and get started with this video. First things first, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I have a deep connection with Omega. I'm very biased when it comes to Omega. My dad has a gold Seamaster from 1980. Omega is the official timekeeper of the Olympics, and I'm Greek, so the Omega symbol really just stuck in my head. Growing up, I actually knew more about Omega than I did even Rolex, so that just goes to show you how much of an Omega fanboy I am. So when choosing the Omega Seamaster, I was deciding between the 300 meter Professional and the Planet Ocean. I did not know which one I wanted to buy at the time. I was watching videos, I was looking at photos, I was reading reviews. I wanted to get the perfect watch for me. But no matter how much content I consumed, it didn't matter in the end. The best thing I did was I went to the boutique and I tried on both of the watches. I was actually torn on the design. I loved the indices and dial of the Professional. I liked the handset and the bracelet on the Planet Ocean. I just did not know which one to choose. So after trying on both at the boutique, I realized that I wanted to get the 300 meter Professional. But that was only step 1. Step 2 was which dial variation would I want? The white dial, the blue dial, or the black dial? The silver dial just didn't catch my eye, and I'm sorry, that's just a personal preference. Don't kill me in the comments, but the silver dial was just not part of this equation. And the funny thing is, when I put the white dial next to the black dial, I immediately knew I did not want the white dial. And watching videos and watching content, I actually was falling in love with the white dial variation. I thought, man, this looks really good. Looks good on a strap. It looks good on the bracelet. But the second I put them next to each other, I said, nope. Black dial over the white. And then it came down to the blue versus black. Oh, I was going back and forth, back and forth. Originally, I wanted the blue. In my head, looking at photos, I was like, man, that blue just looks really, really good. I thought it was going to edge it out, but having both of those watches next to each other, I knew that black was the way to go. It fits my style, my wardrobe, and just me personally, just fits me better. And over those 3 years, I've worn this watch to formal occasions, in casual attire, in the pool, in the ocean, everywhere. Everywhere I could have worn this watch, I did. I've worn it on the original bracelet. I've worn it on their mesh bracelet. I've worn it on these Artem straps. I wear this thing everywhere in every single scenario, which is a topic for a different video, really. And when should you wear watches? Should you own a dress watch? Should you own a sports watch? But that's a different video, different topic. Let's get back to the Seamaster. The lyre lugs just make the watch feel a bit more elegant and elevates it to another level. People that compare this watch to the Black Bay 58, I think they're missing out on the luxury portion of the Omega Seamaster. Maybe on paper, they have very similar specs, but the finishing of the Omega is just on a different level. The high polished butting up right against that brushed finish is just so sharp and it's so beautiful. I think that really gets overlooked by a lot of people. That zirconia oxide dial really plays with the light very nicely, especially with those laser engraved waves. It has so much depth depending on where the light source is coming from. And you can see the dial very clearly thanks to the anti-reflective coating on the top and bottom. Now, I hear a lot of people complain about the AR coating on the top, how it can scuff and scratch and chip away. Yeah, it's possible to see it if you have a macro lens and certain lighting coming together and you're trying to take a shot for Instagram. But in the real world, you're never going to notice that at all. The hands were a sticking point for me initially, and they have grown on me so much. It is so unique to see this handset. The indices on the dial are big, bold, they're raised, they hold so much lume. Now I'm gonna pull back the curtain on watch reviews for a second, and hopefully no other reviewers are out there watching this. But when I take a Lume Shot, I just blast my flashlight over those hands and indices, wait till they get fully charged with lume, and then take my shot. But that is just for video. How does it perform in the real world? Well, when I wake up in the middle of the night and I look over on my nightstand and I see my Seamaster, I can tell the time very easily. And that's hours at night, 2, 3 in the morning. The lume on the hands and indices are still glowing bright. There's only 3 watches in my collection that have this much lume, and that is the Omega Seamaster, my Llanos Mejanicos, and my Seiko GMT. So that's pretty good company if you ask me. Next, we have that helium escape valve. I love it. There's nothing else that needs to be said about the helium escape valve. The date wheel is color matched, it has a unique font to it, which I absolutely love. The movement powering this watch is Omega's 8800 series, comes with 55 hours of power reserve, anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss, blah, 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 blah. How does it perform in timekeeping? Well, when I tested the timekeeping initially, I fully wound the movement, pulled the crown out when the second hand reached the 12 o'clock position, pulled out my radio-controlled G-Shock 5610, synced up the times perfectly, pushed the crown in the second the clock hit 0, and I left it in my watch box for that day. The next day I came back, continued to wind it up, put it back in my watch box, and left. Time after time after time after time. A week goes by, and this watch was running at plus 5 seconds per day, which is in range, but I thought it was going to perform a little bit better. I was kind of disappointed, actually. So after that, I wore the watch for a week straight, and the results were pretty shocking. It actually was only running at plus 2 seconds a day. And I could hear you guys out there, Steve, why aren't you wearing your Grail watch every single day? Well, to answer that, I work in heavy industry, so I usually wear my G-Shock 5610 or my Fitbit. I'm sorry. I wear a Fitbit. I don't like it either, but that's a story for a different time. So we've talked about the case, the dial, the hands, the indices, the movement, the helium escape valve. Well, we get to the most controversial topic of the Seamaster, and that is that bracelet. It's big, it's chunky, it gets the job done. And then we get down to the clasp that has the quick micro adjust. I don't mind it at all. Granted, it's not the most elegant of bracelets. It's not the new Speedmaster bracelet. I think the finishing of the bracelet is executed very well. We have very fine links that are polished, mixed in with thicker links that are brushed. The only issue I have are the screws and pins used in the links. We have 2 different screws on either side of the link and a pin that runs in between. My other watches that have screw pins are just a solid pin. It goes all the way through, and that's that. These have screws on either side of the link and a pin that runs in between, and also Loctite on the screws, which can lead to issues of stripping the screws and making it look a little bit unsightly. And if you don't like the OEM bracelet, they have introduced a stainless steel mesh option, very similar to the one that was used on the No Time to Die Seamaster, but basically, it's made out of stainless steel. It has a deployant clasp and a loopless design. So even though it can feel a little bit thick and chunky, overall, I think it works very well. And yes, there's even a slight taper to it. So for all you people that want a tapered Seamaster bracelet, we have an option there. And they also have rubber straps with a deployant buckle and a traditional buckle. And if you don't like any of those options, well, Artem Straps has you covered. Like I said in the intro, they sent me 4 of their sailcloth loopless design straps in black, gray, sand beige, and khaki green. Now, the thing that drew me to these straps is that deployant buckle. It's very similar to Omega's deployant buckle, which you can see here, but it just engages with the strap in a slightly different way. Now, when you first get the straps, you're going to notice that they're very stiff and not as pliable as you might expect. This is fine. It's going to mold itself to the shape of your wrist. Now, I installed the black strap on the Seamaster, and I wore it every chance I could over this last month. I actually wore it every single day in the shower. I would come home from work, take off my G-Shock, put on the Seamaster, and hop in the shower because I wanted to test how waterproof these straps were. And to my surprise, very waterproof. And I can't really tell a difference after a month between the black strap and any of the other straps that I have not worn. I've only worn the black one just because I wanted to get as much wearing time as possible. And it looks pretty good compared to everything else, almost identical. And not only is the buckle very secure, the finishing of the buckle is very close to the Seamaster OEM finishing. I was very surprised on how well finished the buckle was. The rubber backing on the strap is very supple, very soft. It doesn't have a lot of venting for air movement, but I didn't have an issue with it drying off. And my straps come with quick release spring bars, which just makes switching out straps as easy as can be. Now, are these straps worth the price? And that's gonna be for you to decide. So for a strap that's gonna have the same setup as mine, it's gonna run you about $214 at the time of filming. But at the end of the day, this strap is gonna be worn on my Omega Seamaster, a $5,600 watch. The strap itself is engineered very well, it's functional, the deployment buckle is finished to the same grade as the Omega. I can't find a fault on this strap. Maybe it's not worth it if your watch costs $200 to put on a $200 strap. But if you have a luxury watch and you want a premium sailcloth option, well, this is basically as premium as it gets. So thank you to Artem for sending me and letting me review these straps. If you're interested in these straps, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link to their website down below. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and that like button down below as well. It really does help the channel. And if you wanna see the full Omega Seamaster review, go ahead and click right there. There it is. Go ahead, click it, and you can see the full Omega Seamaster review. I know, it's crazy. I've done it already. So go ahead, right there.